Now, Lieutenant Baird, begin with the last time we saw each other.
Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Gears of War Judgment Insane Difficulty video walkthrough. This is Section 4, Monroe Commons. There is our declassify at the beginning. We will be getting all 3 stars, thanks to the declassify missions. And at the end you're going to get Seriously Judgmental and the Super Star achievement, which are 2 of the most difficult on the game, and I'm hoping that these videos can remedy that struggle, if not just a little bit. So I'm using a mulcher. Anybody that's unfamiliar with this weapon, to move a little bit faster you can go into cover from a distance and you'll slide, and you can kind of use that to your ability to get further. But a couple of guys on hooks over here, the mulcher makes really quick work of them, and it usually jibs them, which gives you a nice bonus and enables you to build up those 3-star points. This is a mission I don't remember having any trouble getting the stars on, which is always a good thing. Like this just now, at this point I'm thinking, how the hell am I still alive? This is insane, and I'm somehow still alive. And it just goes to show that the AI is a lot more lenient on this campaign than it's ever been before. Like, if you were out of cover on Gears of War 3 on Insane, you were dead. You literally were. It was brutal and it was difficult, but on this one it's a little bit different, and it's different because they throw so much more at you. And it's an interesting trade-off, and I don't know which one I prefer. There are moments in this game which I felt were very cheap just because they were throwing 50 fat dudes at you, and then there are moments on the other gears which I didn't really like because you died so quickly when you were out of cover, and they had enemies that forced you out of cover, so it's the greater of 2 evils. But what's going to be happening here is we've got Jack, or the bot as they call him because they don't know Jack yet, and technically it's not Jack who you meet. And every time he starts beeping and he puts his shield up, you're going to have to protect him. And he can die, but it's very hard for him to die, so you should never lose because the bot takes too much damage. There's only one level later on where that's even remotely a problem. And in all honesty, if the bot dying is your biggest problem on that mission, then you're doing it really well, because it's so damn difficult anyway that the bot is the least of your concerns. Staying alive is tough enough. But this sequence here, very simple. You know, if you get unlucky it could probably be very difficult, but I can't see anybody having much trouble here. I'm playing much too aggressively and out of cover and just, you know, just going for it, so hopefully you can do the same. There's a couple of sequences coming up outside which are a bit more challenging, but oh, here he comes, runs straight into the chainsaw. Be careful of that too. If you're in cover and a locust runs directly towards you while you're in cover, you need to move. If you stay there, he will jump over, kick you, and immediately punch you, and there's nothing you can do. It's so bad. I think it's the worst thing they ever added, the stupid jump over cover kick. And I understand why they added it for multiplayer, because in multiplayer it makes sense. But in the campaign, it just means that enemies that destroy you out of cover have a way of destroying you in cover, and it's just not fair. Like on Gears 1, if an enemy was on the other side of the cover, you knew exactly how it was going to go down. You were going to wait, he was going to mantle, and you were going to chainsaw him. Every time. It worked on Insane. It was guaranteed death, and it was fair. This game, you've got to move. It doesn't matter if there's a boomer stood staring at you, you have to move, because the grub will kill you. But we've got 2 stars accumulated. Anybody who doesn't think this is on Insane will notice that they are Onyx stars. You cannot earn Onyx stars unless you're on Insane. And we're moving out with the boom shot. So out here there are turrets. There's one turret. I think it's a... well, it's either a Nasher or a range turret. I don't use it because I forget it was there, and then I notice it as I was coming back. The cool thing about the turrets is it's going to stop the nemesis from attacking the bot. But what am I doing? That's the question. So the bot's parking itself. It's going to initiate the attacks. I'm hoping to see the emergence holes, because my theory is if I have a boom shot and grenades, I'm going to try and seal the emergence holes. The only problem is, I've only played this game twice. You know, this is my 2nd campaign in this game, so I'm still not 100% sure where the emergence holes are. And that's the big difference between this and Gears 1. On Gears 1 they were set, and I think they're set on this, but they were easy to learn, because if you were aggressive enough, you could just seal all of them before the enemies came. And if this game worked off of that logic, it would be a much easier game, but it doesn't. And there's a level right near the end, just before the last boss, where there's an emergency hole that opens directly in front of you, and if you run towards it, you will die. Why will you die, you ask? Because a bunch of dudes just turn up to your right. They don't come out of a hole, they don't come out of the ground. It's almost like there's a locust bus stop, and they're all stood there. And the game just spawns them in. And, you know, if you're going to have a mechanic which is a spawning mechanic, which is iconic to the series, a la bursting out of the ground or coming out of an emergency hole, at least do that. Don't just fucking have them show up like there's a shuttle bus, because it's just not cool. And I died, and I had to go all the way back from the start, which is never fun. But a couple of Cantuses have been so nerfed on this game, it's hilarious. They're so weak. I'm really glad they are, because they used to be assholes. And an interesting fact, I don't think you fight a single armoured Cantus in this entire campaign. I know you do on the Aftermath one, but not on this one. I don't get that. You don't fight a Brumac. You know, Brumacs have been around since Gears 1. If anything, there's more reason for a Brumac to be in this game than any of the new stuff that's in it. That looks like Paddock's going to take his time throwing that grenade like they always do. It's funny too, when the AI goes to plant them on the walls, they look like they want to boost, because they walk around holding the grenade like people used to do on Gears 2. But there's another spawner enemies. There is the range sentinel, which I could have picked up before, but I've got him now, so he'll help. As I mentioned, this is a 10-minute long mission, but it's not 10 minutes of intense difficulty. It's more of a leisurely stroll. And that's a good thing, because the mission that follows this one, if it's the one I think it is very hard. There's the beep, that means there's going to be more dudes. So drop the turret near the sentinel so it can protect him, and just go to town. That is an emergency hole that I could have sealed. Do I get it? There's the boom shot. Yay, there we go. And that's what I loved about Gears 1. You had a system. Like, when I got my Xbox for Gears, this is a little story for you folks. I had no interest in buying a next generation console. I didn't want a PS3, I didn't want an Xbox, I didn't want any of them. The reason why, I still felt there was life in my GameCube. I really did. I didn't think that it had enough games come out, I didn't think it had a decent enough run. It just kind of got abandoned by Nintendo. And I still had a PS2, which I still played, you know, awesome games to this day. God of Wars, you know, all that kind of stuff. There was a lot of cool stuff coming out on that, like the original Killzone. I was still having fun with my console, so I didn't want a new one. And at that time, I was in college, so I wasn't all that into gaming. You know, there weren't that many games on the horizon I was playing, so I was much more into music, and I was much more into just other things. My gaming passion kind of just, you know, it was on the back burner. And then I saw some people playing this game competitively on a TV program on Sky. And I watched it a couple of nights, and it seemed so interesting. There was so much to it. You know, the strategy and the different weapons, and it looked amazing. And I just kind of fell in love. And I bought an Xbox for Gears of War 1, and it was the only game I owned for a couple of weeks, and I didn't have Xbox Live. I had no intentions of getting Xbox Live because I didn't come from a multiplayer background. So all I did was play campaign, and I played campaign all day, every day. When I got my Xbox, I played it with my friend Aiden. We just smashed the game. We played it so much, and it got to the point where I knew where every emergency hole was. I knew exactly where to throw a grenade to seal them before any enemies spawned. It was just complete mastery, and I loved that. And this game probably has that to some extent, but with the whole ground bursting thing, you can't have that same level of fidelity. And I think that's a shame, because being able to manipulate a game with knowledge is the ultimate thing I think developers should strive for, because I think knowledge should trump ability any day. I just think that's how it should be, because skill is great, you know, muscle memory, skill on the sticks, hand-eye coordination, all that stuff is fantastic, but outthinking your enemy should win every time, and it doesn't often. It's often down to twitch reflex, and I think that's a shame. But thanks for watching, and you take care now.